Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to what is probably, given timing and calendars, the last regular Azureish live before the new year. Though on Saturday we'll be doing a Christmas special, and you'll hear a little bit more about that at the end of the show. Joining me, as always, my name is Liam Gulliver, and joining me, like I say, is Jonathan Ralph and Pete Gallagher.
Good afternoon.
And hopefully the people are seeing the things that I'm saying, which is good. So figured we don't actually have that much to do. I don't think.
I love your
say that.
confidence. I really do love your confidence.
Should we just go to the
fine.
pub instead then?
It'll be
Oh,
fine.
sorry, we
We
can't.
could half an hour
It'll be
fixing
fine.
it, half an hour among us. How about
I'm up for that.
Well, we've only got to me. We've only got a little bit more to do with GitWatcher in that we basically have to update the UI now. With the message that comes back off of the Git message, make sure that we're pulling out the commit message correctly. Probably going to be worth reviewing what it is we've got in terms of our function app and our UI, and then make sure the UI just outputs the text or whatever, maybe prettify it a little bit with a decent font and so on, and then we can add it to this bottom bar at the screen. For the folks at home, what you can do as well is you'll be able to go to the link that should be at the top of the screen any second, and you'll see that there is a GitWatcher repository there. And if you want to help code along with the show, you can also clone that repo, make edits, and open a PR as we go along.
Send us some suggestions in the chat.
Yeah, for sure. Right, gentlemen. Are we all connected to
I
all the
think
various
so.
things? We've got live share up and running.
Have you got a link for live share? Did you send me one?
He did.
It's all in Slack. I'm always prepared.
Oh yeah, there you are. So you did.
I might be late to this, and which is why we're slightly late starting. But I'm always prepared ahead of time. Otherwise,
I'm prepared now.
Just in time.
Exactly. That's right. Why waste your energy before the show? You know, it's live.
it is. Right. So, sorry. I guess the first thing is then let me switch to our hosts with us screen theory. Yeah, so we should be able to see some code now on the screen. Where we left it last time is we had got it working with the so we had our function app, which was doing our negotiation to the Signal hub. We had our what else did our function app do? I don't think it did much else at this point in terms of our back end. Oh yeah, we were receiving the actual response from GitHub as well, so we're getting that whole webhook out. So whenever we make a commit to the repo, and then basically we're updating the UI. So this will now say connected when we're connecting, and disconnected if or connecting, should I say, when we aren't.
Yep.
Sorry, Jonathan.
No. I was just agreeing with you.
It's unusual.
So I guess the next part of this is well, we've got some tidy up to do because at the moment our function app base URI is a local URL, so we want to have that as some form of app setting. And we also want to probably remove this and change it so that it gives us our Git message out instead.
Yep, absolutely. Which should come from the JSON that we get from GitHub.
Yes.
Do you mean removing the connection state entirely and replacing it just with an empty string until it updates or whatever the last update was?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think we need to do anything else there. And then the other thing that we've got to do on top is deploy it and make sure that it works for what we do.
Yeah, The whole point.
Yeah.
Not just smoking mirrors. Oh, right, okay.
No, allegedly not.
No.
Okay. So we've been doing a little bit of pre-work for our special, which I'm having on Saturday. I don't think we picked a time for it yet, have we? But we should probably do that and tweet that out soon. But we've been talking around some of the Signal stuff in the last couple of days as well, for some of the things that we're doing. But I think all we've got to do, because we had a similar issue last night, I guess, when we were trying to update the new input file component in .NET 5, where we just need to do something like, I don't know, let's say private string commit message go string dot empty to start with. Yeah,
Good start.
we do at. I'll just stick it in the H1 for now.
Well, this does remind me of a white text on a white background dev story early in my career where it was like, yeah, start with string empty, but how do you know it's worked? Yeah.
So we want a commit message equals git message, I think, because that should just be what comes back. Oh, sorry, git message dot message. Why doesn't that like that? Is it not a string? No, there we go. It's just select.
Just catching up.
That should kind of be it, as far as I'm aware. Let's.
What's the what was that H1 before? That was at what?
That was the hub connection state. Yeah.
Know whether we were connected to Signal R service.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to me that I'm kind of used to binding to a property rather than a private, what seems like a backing variable. So it kind of.
I mean, we can do. I'm just keeping it
I didn't.
All we're after right now is a string, right?
Oh yeah, no. In my head, it was doesn't work in my head, but it's like a almost MVC mentality in my head that you'd be binding to a public property and you'd have a backing variable and do it that way. But I'd never even sort of considered just binding straight to a private variable. Kind of seems like that shouldn't work, but obviously it does.
Well, it might not at the moment because I've just gone to open up the Azure subscription just to check where we've deployed the function, and I've gone into the wrong subscription straight away. Okay, so I guess we've got that. We're pretty happy with our back end, right?
Yep.
So let's deploy it and see what happens, and then change this to use the correct URL.
Yep. Sounds good.
Right. So okay, so let's go to our back end. Just double check stuff in here. We're quite happy with that. So we've got our commit watcher, just to refresh ourselves, is we're using function auth on this. It uses HTTP trigger, and that HTTP trigger is a webhook from GitHub, from a specific repository in this instance. I think it's our actual GitWatcher repository.
It is at the moment, yeah.
Then we're grabbing out our data out of it and deserializing it. We're not using the new system.text.json. We're still using the Newtonsoft one here. I say new, it's not that new these days.
No.
Hello, Alex. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, and then we're getting out our response message, which is just our commit ID from the head commit, who authored it, and the commit message, and we're returning that as part of our response. Now, whether or not that translates into our Git message off of the Signaler connection is another thing. Because I guess what we aren't doing. Yes. You know what we aren't doing? We missed a massive step. We aren't then putting that message onto the chat hub, onto the Signal hub. So we could deploy it all night. Right. We're not going to get anything back.
Fair point.
Yep. Agreed. Oh, we're not even connected. Oh, yeah, we're connected to the Signal hub, of course. So yeah,
we do connect to it, yeah. But we do need to get stuff out.
So the response message that we'd previously been debugging was we were looking at that on GitHub, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the JSON payload, and the response message that we get out here is single line of text as a HTTP response.
But we can do exactly what we're doing there, pretty much, can't we? And just send that response message as a. But we can wrap it up with some JSON if we wanted to make it a little bit friendlier.
So we've got our.
So we're going to need a new binding on that task on the commit watcher function to the Signal hub.
Yeah, I think we're going to need an output binding ultimately for this like you say, the Signal hub. Sorry, I was just double checking some notes that I handily made.
I could tell you'd gone on thread.sleep.
Previous time. I can't read and talk at the same time. I could be an imposter and talk at the same time, but I can't.
Can you though? I mean,
yeah, nah.
At least I don't shout out when I've died, Pete.
Well, there is that, you know.
So we want to add in, because the Microsoft.Azure.WebDrops extension of Signal service, which we already have, and then out of this, even though it's a HTTP trigger, we want our output binding to be Signal R.
Yeah.
And then we are going to say, okay, this is the output of the hub. Sorry, this is hub to output to, which is we call commit hub.
It is.
Commit hub. And that's going to be an async collector. Signal R is a no.
That's when it gets wet.
Signal R message.
Just don't get your Signal R hub wet or feed it after midnight.
Yeah, bad things happen.
Guessing we're missing a using statement then because it's not gone. Oh no, there it goes. It's caught up.
Yeah. I found, and it might just be more lately, that
I'll just correct the typo in Signal for you.
Thank you. The IntelliSense has been a little bit slow. Like I've had to restart when we've been doing some of the POC stuff for the cognitive services stuff. As a little teaser for folks there, I've had to restart VS Code a few times to get it to kick itself into gear.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. So we've added the output binding here. So for folks that are watching that haven't dealt with function apps before, we have our input binding, which is a HTTP trigger. So that, and you do roughly in this order of things. And that's our HTTP request in this instance. And then we have our output binding, which is just this signaler attribute. Then what we're going to do, and I think we should probably also just leave this to say, let's pass the OK result back with the content. But we then need to add in signaler messages, add async.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a new signaler message. Then this will put that. This is going to put the content onto the signaler hub ultimately. That target. What is that target? So we've. The target is get message, because that's what we called it in the UI.
We did.
And arguments. A new array. Oh no, just do that. And that's going to be our response message. And what doesn't it like about that? Oh, we're not waiting it. There we go. For theory, that should now put something onto that signaler hub. I think.
So that output binding that we've added there, that's sort of auto-magically sticks that in because it knows it's there.
Yes. Yeah. So I am wondering if we need to do anything else.
We don't need to do anything with the task object that async returns, do we? Because we're just going to let it fire and forget.
No, but I'm wondering if we want to add in. So in our index, what we've got is we have this Git message thing here that has message. So I wonder if we it's bad, and I'm just going to copy code in. So don't do this at home, kids. Let me just actually Alt Shift F. Of course, it's just going to screw around with formatting. And have this actually pass a full what do you call it back? Object back, yeah.
Yep.
So if we do okay, oh no, probably just do it in there, can't we? Just do new message. Probably be better formatted than what I've done there, but it'll do. Yes, yeah, we use it commercially, at least for internal tooling, I guess would be the best way to describe it. But there's definitely a few other bits that we've been dabbling with. Most of our front end work, where I work at least, is all React. But for internal tooling, we've largely stuck to Blazor. So we've got that. We've got our index. Give it a deploy and see what happens. Oh, well, I mean, I guess we can probably put something onto that if we wanted to, but let's.
Didn't realize how much time had flown because Blazor WASM was officially released May 19th. That feels like a long time ago.
What, only this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it feels like yesterday.
Well, that is also true. Yeah. January, February, quarantine, December.
Yeah, this is the longest month of March I've ever known.
It is true. So we're going to deploy that to which one is it? It's the Azure sponsorship, isn't it?
It
is. It is.
Oh, look, there it is. Let's deploy that for now.
Live share definitely, in terms of the carrot following, is working a lot better these days, but the terminal still has occasional blackouts.
Oh, terminal doesn't know what it's doing on mine.
But I'm seeing the build output, which is nice for a change.
Yeah, and it's not all in a column of 3 characters.
Yeah, that was funny.
That's also preferable. So we're currently out actually deploying that as well. And that'll tell us in just a second what's going on.
Alex is mentioning that speed is a problem for Blazor for them.
I guess that's the thing. Like, certainly for larger apps, it could be quite cumbersome very quickly. I mean, I assume I've not built anything massive yet. So it's more just self-service type portal things.
I'd be interested to see whether Eric's was talking about WASM or server. I don't know if you could elaborate on your comment, Eric's.
And in terms of live reloading, specifically, Eric's is saying as well. So I don't know.
Okay. Maybe that is.
I've not done much in the way of live reloading. Actually, I need to look at that.
Yeah.
It's on my to-do list of things to tinker with.
Yeah. Talking about server WASM isn't an option in my work.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the clarification there.
Right. So we're doing standalone here, so we don't use the server end, and we built a function app instead. One way you can actually host this, where we've got the Blazor standalone WASM front end, Blazor WASM standalone. And then the function API, the function app in the backend is you can now use the static web app preview, which lets you deploy both the front end and an Azure function into this one combined thing.
And then we were discussing last week about the whole back-end secrets. In some respects, the function app is still required, even if you can do a lot more client-side these days, certainly for certain scenarios.
Yeah, for sure.
We specifically wanted to remove any sort of secrets and credential swapping going on from the WASM app out and keep that all centralized in the function. It's one of the reasons why we're doing it this way. And Liam is quite rightly sticking to his guns on that.
Security.
So
whilst we're just updating secrets, so I haven't uploaded secrets at this point, but I'm about to add some. From
on that topic, while you're doing that, I was mentioning to Liam and Pete, I was reading a article by calls himself Caesar Codes on dev.to about using user secrets instead of local.settings.json, which is an interesting idea that you could actually he goes to the extra extent of having a startup function to actually configure that a user secrets should be used before environment variables, or in fact, I don't know if that is actually order sensitive when you do a configuration builder .add JSON file and .add user secrets. I haven't played with that, but certainly there are options there of you can make your function look for things in more than one place in a configuration builder.
You would imagine that one would overwrite the other, wouldn't you? So
yes,
ordering you'd imagine would be.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Do you want to put a link to that in the chat?
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah.
So, just whilst we're talking about that, I don't know if I've just come up against a small Azure Functions related issue.
Oh yeah, okay.
That tells me that the Azure Functions runtime, excuse me, is unreachable.
Huh? What? Oh, let me have a look.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a health and services monitoring portion of the portal you can go to, and it should tell you whether or not they're having issues. But
I mean, there's every possibility that what it is us. What we've done.
Possible, isn't it?
I'm just going to have a look at. Is it in Azure Monitor these days, or?
We do service health up here, isn't it?
Status.
Yeah.
Where were you seeing that status?
It was on the screen share that he had up on the stream a second ago. But
yeah, if you go into the actual Azure function itself, now it's because that's all there. I mean, I'll try it from GitHub and see how we get on.
I'm not seeing any issues like that. I'm getting that your app is currently in read-only mode because we're running it from a package file, but that's the only error I'm getting.
There we go. Yes, it's changed now. So, okay, fine, I'll take that.
Fixed it.
Fixed it by doing a whole refresh. Right. Okay. So I want to start, or I'm going to change, and there are definitely better ways of doing it. We're going to hard code it for the purpose of this, but change this function app base URI to our one from our function. So we get that from app keys. Is it app keys that we get it from? Sorry, no, it's not. Is it? Sorry, it's overview, and then we can get our function URL there. But they can also go into functions and get the ones for specific functions. But I want the base one in this instance. So I'm going to copy that. This function app will be torn down and stuff afterwards, so I'm not too bothered about how we're seeing things there. But I'm going to grab a function app key. The interesting thing is that the Azure mask thing isn't working properly, Pete.
For where in particular isn't that working?
I've just seen your subscription ID a couple of times.
Oh, okay. Again, you can't do much with one of those anyway because you're going to need a service principal and all sorts. And I think it's reasonably safe. I can see it's masked there. It doesn't mask it from things like drop downs annoyingly, and I've seen it leak elsewhere. But drop downs are the main place it seems to be not working.
Could
I
always
guess
say,
part of the DOM, isn't it?
you could always just put our faces up while you go and get it.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's only my subscription ID, you see. So
Yeah, it's fine. Oh no, that's the whiteboard. I don't want that. So what we've actually got is
Pixel Robot says I wouldn't worry, which I'm
really?
assuming that he's talking about my subscription ID. It could be also talking about something else.
Actually, no, I've done that. I've done that wrong, haven't I? So we've got our GitWatcher, we've got our base. I'm just gonna, for now, I'm just gonna grab our. I'm gonna go up a level and grab our app key rather than anything else.
Leveling up sounds good.
We'll just use our default one for now. Because now, what can you remember what the format of the URL is for this?
Who what?
We need to add the key on, don't we, to be able to talk to the function app onto the URL.
Oh,
because I've just gone completely blank.
Is it this look where you get the function URL from when you're in that list of?
Well, that's just getting a single function, right?
Yes.
But we want the whole auth across to it. Well, I mean, let's try it without and see what happens.
Yeah,
I guess is the next thing. Because we're only going to run Blazor in this instance. And we don't need to run the function locally at the moment because we're going to go talk to. Yeah, we can ignore that because I don't have Chrome installed because as the Microsoft fanboy I use Edge. We might need to change cause values and stuff. Yeah, there we go. So what's our error there?
Oh, that's a big load of red.
It's the cause stuff. So we haven't set that at the moment. Quite rightly, because in the real world we're going to have this with a specific URL and stuff like that. But for purposes of testing, let's allow that, I guess. And just remind ourselves where that is. Cause. There we go. There's the button I wanted.
of course.
Of course.
Ha.
Ah.
HTTP. Oh yeah.
I've got.
I know it just still feels so strange, isn't it?
But just for the purpose of getting it working.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a lot happier. And it's blank, which is also good. Oh no. There we go. 401 unauthorized. So yes, we do need to put the key in.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is it? Not just a whole. We don't need to. We just want the whole thing with base key, right?
Yes.
But how does one do that?
What was the question again?
Remind me what we're trying to do at the moment.
So now we're making a request out to our function app. So the first call to the function app is connecting to our Signaler hub. We've got our GitWatcher stuff there. So we're going to our API. That will call the negotiate function and stuff. But now we go to the real thing. What we want is the function key. We need to authenticate ourselves.
Yep. So you need the X function key header on the HTTP call.
Can we add it there?
Yes, rather than the URL. I normally, well, I've in the past I've just added it as a header, but if it's easier on the URI in this case.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
So normally you find that in app keys in the function app once deployed.
Yeah, so we can get that, but where do we stick it on this URL? it's not configuration, is it?
This isn't something I've done before, so
No, because I normally do it as an X. I don't normally do it on the header, which is
We can add it as a header, I guess.
yeah. So all I do is add in the request is I'm just trying to just double check the absolute key. It's x-functions-key as a header.
We're not using HTTP client here, are we?
No, exactly. That's why I'm just checking whether it's easier to just put it on the URL.
You
I
use.
wonder if you're right based on what you're saying, Pete. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I'm just using Google.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. I wonder if it's if we literally go, okay, well let's copy our.
You should only send API keys using HTTP headers and not in the URL as a parameter, says one blogger.
Yeah,
yeah, we know
I get that. That's fantastic. But right now, I started to look. So if we get the function URL, and we take the host key and we do it that way, maybe. And then it's at the yeah, okay. So that's the kind of the problem. Though we have to tack it on the end, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh.
Right.
You just swore about swearing there. I quite like that.
I did. I caught myself with more swears. I do apologise, folks.
And then now we've just lost 16 of our 13 watchers.
Yeah. The rest have stayed because they don't think it was strong enough.
Yeah.
I'll get that bleep button.
That's a good point. So, folks, please feel free to drop bits into the channel or subscribe because evidently we need to buy a bleep button.
Can we not just use some cog services to automatically bleep you when you swear?
You can certainly do
those calls would be too expensive.
That's why you need the bits. Yeah.
I'll just use the free Azure credits. It'll be fine. I'm sure.
Okay, so I've got the key. So how do we do that then? I mean, the other option is for now, do we just work around it and make the function anonymous for now?
I thought it already was.
No, we're being specific in our thing.
Yeah, I saw something somewhere about the fact that your function is currently anonymous, and so
this one.
No, that was read only, Pete.
Well,
So when you do a deployment, especially when you're using the zip deployment, it sometimes moans about that.
Yeah, in authentication, in our Azure function, it says anonymous access is enabled on this app service app. Users will not be prompted to log in.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go. Oh no, don't do that. I'm just going to go ahead and change it just for the negotiate for now, and we can figure it out later, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still searching for that while you just get rid of any security on this at all.
I've only done it on one function for now, maybe, possibly.
So all of this is so that we can access the negotiate function, is it, essentially?
Yeah, because obviously we want this to, in the real world, we'd have the correct cause for it.
Yeah.
Where we'd go from our UI to that, and then B, we'd have our function key sent as a header. But right now, we don't have that luxury. Everything's just setting my phone off. I don't apologise.
So we've got 22 minutes left.
Well, it's still deploying. Okay, so there we go. We're creating triggers.
Oh, you can do $code equals API key.
What at the end?
At the end of the URL, ? So a query parameter is just code equals API key.
The problem we have there, is it not, is that this is what's adding the negotiate. Let me just close this. This adds a negotiate afterwards. So we have our base URL.
All right, I see.
Unless we can add something as part of the hub connection builder.
I think that's the only way you would have to do it, isn't it? Hub connection builder.
If you
Yeah, I'm
if
looking
you
at
have a look at that, and I'll
Yeah,
and
you
I'll
carry.
go on a new terminal. Sorry, so we're still running that. Got our Blazor WebAssembly app still running. So here, that refresh. Whilst that's happening, let's double check what we had in here to make sure that I don't need to go and add in any new keys again, because that is also a possibility.
I always like the fact that with live share, I can actually view that local host that you're viewing yourself.
Oh, can you? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we've got these things in there. I am going to make a git commit.
So what have you changed here now? Then you've made it anonymous.
Just for now on
Yep.
the thing.
Jonathan's got his finger up.
Oh, yeah, Pete, am I missing something here? Are we looking at index.razor and actually the function app base URI we're using in a hub connection to SignalR? So why are we bothering with a function app security key on something that's SignalR service? Or am I missing the point here?
Because we're going up to the function app first to do the negotiation.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
It's doing the negotiation with SignalR service. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that we didn't need a key, that we're now
That we're not
include the key in.
because of the
It
function
works.
I see.
Oh, look at that.
All right. So, oh yeah, there we are. Interesting.
Don't try this at home.
Don't
But
with the safeties off, but that's fine.
I don't see that on my
Well
local
done.
host, interestingly. So there must be something running on yours that I can't see.
maybe it's proxied somehow. I don't know how live share works for that.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have worked, but yeah, difficult to know through live share. But yeah, we have an update. So if you do an update now, does that automatically update? Can we see that working?
What if we make another commit?
Yes, please. Should
we
live
can do.
update on the screen.
I don't know. I don't
hey,
know
look, it's
how
not-
we've just done.
It's not string.empty, so in that sense, surely it works.
Well, I just want to
yeah.
see it go live because what did you do? Refresh the page there, or did it?
No, I just went back to it.
All right, I just want to see. Do a
But
commit and
let me add some things in. Let's go and add a comment here.
So what do we need to do to fix that anonymous problem?
Don't know. I think that's what Jonathan's looking into.
So you can, by the looks of it, one of the overloads of hub connection builder is the with URL can take an optional iHTTP options class, which if you look at the definition of iHTTP connection options, rather, there is an HTTP client interface on that. So potentially we could actually pass our own HTTP client in, which then could have the header on it, could it? I don't know off the top of my head. If the client was there.
Change. The change has been pushed.
Yeah, I'm just down a rabbit hole at the moment, just trying to work out if that's actually sensible overload to use.
I mean, we aren't exposing the SignalR service directly anywhere because we didn't want to do that, did we? Or is it that you can't? Do you have to have a function in the way to do the negotiation anyway, or what?
Pass.
Yeah.
That hasn't updated, but it did update before, which is interesting. So let's go to GitHub and make sure that it's actually pushed.
But yeah, so on mine, I don't get anything at all. So that was interesting. That
No, I didn't either.
no. So I wonder if the connection broke somewhere, or if
Potentially. So we've got our webhooks that we have here. That does look like an error to me.
It does indeed.
And our error says 500 error. Okay. Which could be on
the Azure function itself, maybe.
Yeah.
I think. And to look at the logs.
Executions. Did we set up insights with this? I can't remember. I don't think we did. No.
If you just get the live logs on the screen, you can do that in VS Code if you wanted to, or you can do it in the portal. and then commit again, and let's have a look what it's saying that's wrong.
Good idea.
Yes. I'm just double checking this. So we've got an invalid operation exception apparently.
Yeah, that's the 500 you're getting though, isn't it?
Yeah. But the prior one was quite happy. We're trying to validate connection string. Error indexing method GitWatcher, the signal service connection string must be set either via an Azure or signal connection string app setting via data provider. Yeah, but we are. That's exactly what we have. Is it not?
What does it say? I'm looking on the tiny little Twitch stream I've got down here. Maybe I should put it down here and I'll be able to see what it is.
Sorry, 1 second. Let me just double check the connection string. What's there? So your signal art connection string that is there. We have our value, so that should be perfectly fine and dandy. Now, if we go back to our webhook, we have our successful one a few moments ago.
Yep.
Which was quite happy. So let me just make another commit just to. Where's our client? There we go. So what I want to see is I'm gonna close off.
Pete, I suppose that the other thing that what we are doing about talking about adding a authorization key to the end of that base URI, though, we are striding back into the idea of putting a secret in the client front end.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
So in that sense, yes. So I agree with you. In some respects, having it anonymous is what we're talking about, and ultimately, the thing about client-side WASM first is that you are going to have to at some point have authorization built into it somehow. And so if we were to, even if we were to put a key, we'd be then distributing this client app with the key in it anyway. So therefore it's no less risky than making it anonymous at the moment, and maybe looking at IP restrictions or
IP restrictions. I think me and Liam had a quick conversation about this. Of course, the IP
your
client side
gone really weird, Pete.
has it?
Yeah.
You dropped out, but you're back again now.
Oh, really?
It was just like we lost your bandwidth.
Interestingly, I can hear background noise from somebody as well. Like it was like wind almost. I don't know what that was. Yeah, passing wind.
Nothing I've eaten. No.
Who had the beans for lunch? Yes. The IP address thing. Me and Liam spoke about that, and obviously the IP address will be the IP address of the client on whatever browser is connected, though, won't it? So you can't really filter that very easily.
No. Which is why this is actually better to just make it anonymous, because what we are effectively doing here is creating an easy way of extracting one element of metadata from GitHub to display in OBS. So we are dealing with public information in this particular case anyway. We're just trying to make it easy to consume in OBS. So in this particular use case, that authentication is less of a worry. We are making use of the Azure function as an easy way of parsing GitHub's JSON.
I mean, what you'd ask somebody to do is to log in on the client and then get a token and then pass the token across and verify that way, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah,
sure. And that's where it's authorization rather than.
Exactly.
So we're now getting an argument out of range exceptions, which suggests to me that we're getting to our function.
Yep.
Is something wrong with that? Because we are doing some toStrings and substrings. I wonder if maybe we're getting a null. Right, so it's not actually out of range, but we're getting a null reference, and so we're trying to do a substring on an empty string or something, maybe.
Oh, potentially.
Not null, but an empty string back, maybe, or something funny.
It's kind of what I'm thinking. So we change this. Well, that said, oh, maybe this is the problem with telling it the length is too long.
Maybe change that to 5 and see what it does.
Yeah.
We could actually put tries and catches in there, eh? Imagine that error handling.
Or could you use more of a?
Don't be silly. Could
you use more of a link sort of expression by just saying take 5? or take 50, and maybe that wouldn't error out in the same way if there was less than 50 characters.
Yeah, you might be right here.
Potentially. Well, let's try this, and then let's say I want to do it with 4. That's right. Let's do it with this is 4 than 5, and then try the same as well.
Uh-huh. I mean, obviously, we could be debugging this function locally as well, I guess.
Yeah, we could do it through Postman and stuff like that. But I
Or
think
use
the
literally debug it F5 in VS Code.
you know what we've just done though is made that change, made the commit, but we didn't deploy it.
Nope. So it should have still broken then.
It should still break.
I don't think
So
that will
currently
ever.
we have less than 20 characters in what we've just done.
I don't think that's going to error personally. I think it'll just take everything that's left. But I could be wrong. I'm just looking.
Well, it should take like with the correct thing, with the correct what do you call it? So it'll be these were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that commit message was longer. The other ones were less. So it's just rubbish to stringing on our part. I think you're right.
You sure it's not just
something-
taking the whole? No, it's not.
I mean, you do specifically get an argument out of range exception for
Yeah.
for that's what the exceptions are that is listed against the substring.
Yeah.
There, so we do know that matches.
Right, that deployment's completed. So
Okay. So I maybe we just take the substring off. Maybe we just take the whole commit
Why
message
not?
instead.
Yeah. That'll
because
work.
we could always do that in CSS. Limit the display as a presentation issue rather than a retrieval issue.
So we set that to 5 characters before. That's what we've got deployed. So I want to say I'm literally just going to put the 5 in. I'm not going to deploy the just to string yet. Git commit that.
I see on the specific one we're using, which is int, which is what we were passing into substring. If start index, which was that first one, plus length, which is the second parameter, indicates a position not within this instance, you will get argument out of range exception. So it sounds like if you did specify 50 and there weren't 50 characters,
it's right.
then
You're
you would
right.
have put that.
You're right, Pete. In Jonathan, it is that because that's just
So
updated.
that should we have a look at that dot take C# and see if that fixes it? So if Jonathan,
Well, I wonder if we just take the full string.
I think we just take the full string for the moment, and then if we need to limit it, we can do it in CSS.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's deploy that. Let's give that a
that's true.
deploy function. Yeah.
Yeah, exceptions in .take are sources null. So I don't think it's bothered about the length.
Yeah.
So .take looks like it probably would have worked.
Okay, so I'm going to wait for that to finish.
I quite like link still.
Me too.
I do quite like link.
Yep. I like the new stuff in .NET 5 where there's is and not and are being brought in. It feels very Visual Basic for a Visual Basic designer, but I do like
those things coming. I'm going to add some marks back.
There's an interesting debate to be had about that whole late compiling of, it'll only compile the query on the fly kind of thing when you're using ORMs and stuff, because I think it's the same as I feel with what's that API technology where you can query live that was meant to be the next iteration of REST, and the name's just escaped me.
PRC or whatever it is.
Yeah, that thing. And again, it's interesting that if you are less in control of the queries made against your back end, and therefore you can't cache as aggressively, maybe because you are not sure what the client's going to query at any time, is that more or less efficient? Yes, it's more flexible because then you can support any query that somebody's going to make of you, but also it doesn't mean that you can necessarily know what you're going to be asked for. And it feels similar to Link in some respects, that where you're using it with code first database queries, And again, I used to work with some database engineers that were like, oh yeah, but what's your query plan going to look like? And again, it depends on what happens at runtime rather than it being part of the development process. That was an interesting debate to have.
True.
And it works. I see
look
with
at
the exultancy and the bottom of my screen there.
Yes.
Right. So given that's black text on a white background, that should act as a. I'm not sure what the Blazor default styling on the left will.
I'll take it out. I'll bin it off.
But you could certainly, you could do a crop anyway in OBS with the left side swipe right now anyway. So you could even try just adding it as a browser source.
Yeah, that's true.
Just get rid.
Yeah, he's going to get rid of it. Look. Oh,
just get rid.
I was going to break it now. It's going to be ruined. It's going to be. I can't find this now.
The other thing is, currently haven't deployed it anywhere, so that's the next thing. Stovey P. Yeah, I think you might be right. It might be GraphQL that we're thinking about.
Oh yeah.
It is GraphQL. You are quite correct, Stephen.
I remember sitting next to Stephen, probably one of the first times I ever met him, and he was talking about graph stuff. And I was, I knew nothing. I still know nothing about it, and I was quite impressed.
I've always wanted to play with GraphDay, but I've played with Neo4j a few times in terms of. I still think there's a lot of power with relationships between stuff in graphs, and I've never had the time to learn it yet.
On my to-do list for
different mindset needed, I think, isn't there, for that sort of.
Without a doubt, it's no more third normal form knocking around with that.
Yeah. What was it that Kevin Smith was talking about as well? MongoDB. That always seemed like a different way of having to think.
I remember. I think it was CouchDB as well. We were talking about the whole rise of NoSQL was around, and I remember there was a Technotium talk that was, I think it was CouchDB, where again what was interesting about that was and it's a bit like Blazor WASM that we're using here, is that the design of the app being assume that you're offline, assume your client isn't always connected, and there's an awful lot of assumption-driven development where you assume that your back-end service will always be there and your database will handle whatever you throw at it. And in some respects, having a sort of a defensive coding position to say, well, let's keep things on the client in background storage, and then when we do get network connectivity back, synchronize. And I think that's what Couch was doing at the time. Yeah, some interesting tech out there, certainly.
It's working.
How's that deploy gone?
Perfect.
I see.
Wicked.
So I am going to deploy this to a static. Yeah.
This is where it stops working entirely.
Don't know what you mean, Pete.
What, live demos? That's what this show's all about.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. Well, wait.
Confidence.
Any general purpose V2 storage account supports static website hosting. Okay, so let's go create a static site. We've got 3 minutes to the show left. Well, slightly more than we've got 6 minutes to the show left because we didn't start until 3 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
Let's go create a new storage account. I'm going to do this in the portal now. Usually I'd like to use the command line, etc. for all this sort of stuff. This is just standard. Can we not upgrade it to a V2? No, we have to redeploy, don't we?
Standard's okay, isn't it?
No, we need a standard V2.
All right. With no explanation whatsoever.
That is the only one that supports static websites.
Okay. I see. Everyone learns.
So we're going to create a regular old storage account. We put it in the same resource group. We're going to call that GitWatcher static site for now. I don't know. That'll do. Probably don't need it geo-redundant, but let's leave it at that. That's pretty much everything that we'll need in this regard.
We said that before, and then it took us 45 minutes to get.
You take that back, Pete.
It's no worse than me spending half an hour waiting for a Windows update last night. I mean, let's just do a live show of that.
Yeah, well, at least you weren't just about to try and do a talk. I had that happen before.
That is true. So this storage account will deploy. And then what we'll do is we'll enable static site storage for this, which we did before, and we briefly looked previously at using the static web apps preview, and that's something that we'll delve into in another show.
Yep.
But that's some pretty cool stuff. But I'm going to enable static website here, and that gives us a container called $web. Index document will be www.root index.html, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Index.html. So we'll save that, and then we'll do a deploy. So we're going to deploy this to static website via Azure storage. I'm going to pick the
That's
thing.
cool. So I've not done that before. So
No,
have you
me
played
neither.
with that before? Yeah.
I have.
I have not.
I haven't. I like that.
Now the thing that it's not doing is show me the new storage account I just created. So I'm just going to quickly restart VS Code.
Oh no, the live share session's ended.
It's all right. We'll leave Liam to do the
The heavy lifting part.
clicky button.
Well, the way I would like to do this, if we had more time today, is I'd go and put structures code together with Terraform and deploy it from GitHub Actions as well, and just do the whole end to end. And that's probably something we'll pick up in the new year with this as a complete project. After we've made it better than we've currently got it. So we're going to deploy to a static app. We're going to say that. There it is. Now it's deploying.
Interestingly, I've got a spinny in Twitch.
Me too.
That is interesting because I've not stopped it.
No, and you've gone all blurry in OBS Ninja. Oh no,
maybe there we go. Sorry about that. I wonder if it's my
cat.
OBS seems to be happy over there at the moment.
Not downloading Cyberpunk or anything.
No, I'm not downloading Cyberpunk. I have purchased a physical copy for my PlayStation 5.
2 minutes.
Dum, 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 dum.
We'll be there.
I love your confidence.
I
You're on
mean,
the
I don't know
streaming
why it's
machine,
taking
yeah?
so long to deploy it. No, I'm not on the streaming machine. That's all okay.
So how are we going to get it on OBS then if you're over here?
Well, that'll be for next time.
Okay, that'll be next time then. Yeah, let's just get it deployed and working.
Yeah, because I want to sort that security problem out before we make it a real thing. So if we could not, leave it open to the world, that'd be grand. So that's still deploying. Say again, sorry, Pete.
You can just turn the function off in the time being, turn it back on next
Definitely.
fortnight
We'll
time.
do a complete
Fortnight's
deploy.
time is not, of course, what we're doing because you're talking about now after Christmas, aren't we?
Yes, yeah, it would be after Christmas.
When is the next show?
That is a good question.
The next real show, that is the next normal show, I say.
So if we're what, the 8th today, we're not going to do one Christmas week.
No, that would be the 24th, wouldn't it? I guess. No, 22nd.
That was 22nd. So 5th of January, I think, probably.
Okay. And what's happening on Saturday?
On Saturday, we have our Christmas special. Deployment is complete. Ooh, let's do that.
How about we talk about this while you just finish off that deployment?
Yeah, you do some heavy lifting and grunting, and so yeah, coming up on. I mean, if you don't know, then this whole month is part of the festive tech calendar that has been organised by a whole heap of clever people, including Gregor Sutty and Richard Hooper. I'm terrible with last names. Pixel Robots. Anyway, in the chat, I believe you are. And then a bunch of the MS Dev UK team have been involved in that too. And there have been some fabulous sessions, from poems to podcasts to live streams. And on Saturday, the Azureish team, so Jonathan, Liam, and myself, are going to be taking part in a special stream. Are we allowed to say what we're doing yet?
Yeah, I think so.
It's on the calendar, isn't it?
There we are. So we are.
And we do need. We've got a bit of an ask of people as well, haven't we?
We have indeed. So
Go
what
ahead.
we're doing is we are building a service to help Santa answer all of the letters from kids by using Azure Cognitive Services and a few other bits and bobs of Microsoft tech. The idea being that he can then more read the letters quicker because we're going to parse them. And so therefore the ask that Liam has alluded to is that if you have any anonymized letters from either yourself or any small people in your life that you wish to share with us, please reach out via any of the social media methods and send us a picture of your Santa letter, because we would like to use some real world examples rather than trying to find some Creative Commons examples on the internet that we can purloin and use as test samples. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to actually see what this is kind of machine learning as a service. So we don't have to do as much training as you used to have to do many years ago. And so join us to see how cognitive services can help with your image processing needs.
Yeah. Yes. Or maybe if you are an elf, then this might help.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, Santa has come to us to help modernize his application.
If you need to go to your boss with a new idea, we're here for you.
Yes, yeah. Santa kindly
plug something as well. Of course, my Pluralsight course, my first course has been released, as of last night. So if you're interested in IoT or indeed studying for the AZ220 exam, then my course is the first part of the objective domain for that exam on creating and configuring an IoT hub. There are more courses coming, and there are other people working on other parts of that objective domain as well. So do feel free. You'll see there's various links on my Twitter to go and have a look at that, and do feel free to feed back to me if you've got any comments. Again, this is my first Pluralsight course, so it's all quite new to me, but exciting at the same time.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean that's really great stuff as well, Pete. Because it's quite a key bit of course material for people taking the AZ220 exam as well, from the bits that we've talked about on it as well.
Yes, I mean, worth pointing out that I helped create the exam as well, so I kind of know what questions are on it.
Yeah, sure. So just bring it back to the application. So I think the deployed to static storage in Visual Studio Code hasn't done what I thought it would.
Okay.
Because what it's done is it's deployed the entire project.
But you were quite correct that we did make it work, even if we didn't deploy it.
We did make it work, and that's cool. And we can solve the deployment issue in between our shows, and then next time, maybe even for the Christmas special Saturday, we might have a little bar at the bottom of the screen.
Yes,
that shows people what's happening.
Maybe. Is it your thoughts that we're going to start a different project next year? Would you class this as the natural end for that, rather than?
Yes, I think so, because we can start making use of this now in the future. So we'll come up with something fresh for 2021.
Yeah,
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, for sure.
Any suggestions? Do let us know.
Yeah, indeed. And again, that's on at Azureish Live on Twitter. And again, as always, you can get to our repos and stuff as well, and have some input into those things and open PRs and help us out and contribute to the show yourself by going to the link above, what should be above my head on the stream, I think. If it's not, go to github.com/Azureish Live, and it will be there. Yeah, I don't think that link is shown for some reason. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it has. Right. I think it's probably a good point to wrap up, gentlemen.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching and sticking with us through the few weeks that we've been doing this now as a show. And you see, obviously, our channel has grown to encompass other shows as well. So that includes DevOps Derek Weekly now. So we have Derek Campbell, who's joined the team, and every Monday night at 6 p.m. UK time, he'll be running his show every week for an hour with new content coming in the new year. Obviously, we have this show, which is every other Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. UK time, and we'll continue our bumbling through live coding every time we go, and then every week as well. And the final one for the year for Azureish After Dark happens on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. UK time as well, where we have special guests come along, talk about tech, DevOps, software development, and we play some video games as well. So look forward to seeing that, and hopefully we'll see you on Saturday, which will be here on twitch.tv/Azureish Live. Once again, thanks, folks, and we'll see you soon. Ooh, where's my end button? I wasn't prepared. Oh no, there we go.